Thanks for taking the time, Masoud.
Pleasure.
I've just been lucky enough to listen to your excellent presentation at
Very kind of
the HR session here run by Informa in Dubai. Really interesting for me from a number of viewpoints. It's an HR session and you had a massive focus on the business, and your title is in fact to be responsible for transformation in Vodafone in Turkey. Can you elaborate a little bit more on why you're focusing so much on the business rather than HR and an HR presentation?
Sure. We need to think about the needs of the business first, middle and last, rather than the needs of, I suppose, processes and what we think HR is right. And the reality is that I went to Turkey primarily because there was a need for this. I'd just finished doing the turnaround, or be lucky enough to be part of the excellent team that did the turnaround of Vodafone Netherlands. And I got the bug and I wanted to experience it again in a different situation, a different culture. So I didn't have to leave Netherlands. I chose to leave and go to Turkey because it needed transforming. And of course, initially, I was focused on fixing some of the basics around resourcing, learning and development, and OD capability, and I was looking after those centers of expertise for the first 7-8 months. But since the new CEO came on board and we were ready to really start the business transformation that is going to turn around and is turning around the results of Vodafone Turkey, I wanted to focus on that exclusively. So I'm responsible now for organizational transformation, that's structural change, some company-wide processes, evaluation and change, and culture. And the way I define operating model, as you saw from our presentation, that's it: structure, processes, and engagement and culture.
Okay, and you've done this across a couple of cultures now. What are the big differences between the Netherlands and Turkey that you've had to deal with?
Massive differences. When I went into Vodafone Netherlands, the new CEO was the 5th CEO, and there had been 4 CEOs in 4 years. And the new CEO, Guy Lawrence, was making very, very good progress already. But there was no focus on operating model or culture or change in that regard whatsoever. Netherlands, from a cultural point of view, I guess people are much more their own bosses. They are far more independent. They're far less power-centric. They are fantastic people to get on board once they're convinced. But they don't do what they're told, not automatically. It's not the Dutch way. It's part of the reason I absolutely love them. But once they're on board, my God, you wouldn't want different people because they're independent, they are empowered, they're innovative, and they really make it happen very fast, which is exactly what happened. We made massive change, including cultural change, in a year. I mean, I never expected that. I thought it would take 2 to 3 years. Turkey is, again, using some of the language that we all know, is a bit more traditional in the way that people view businesses and leadership. People like their leaders to be much more clear and tell them what to do, as opposed to the Dutch model. Frankly, you need to have a very good cultural awareness if the culture is not going to cause you a problem. But the business need for change is not that different. It's the how you do it that's influenced by the cultural awareness. Now, I mean, I've worked also with Japanese in a turnaround situation. And there, what I experienced, and I'm not saying, of course, not every Japanese company is the same as not every Turkish company is the same. But the Japanese was a lot of long hours, a lot of hard work, very manual work, rather than dealing with the fundamentals of the reasons for the change. Very interesting approach. Again, I was there 5 years with the Japanese company, so I saw it through a whole series of evolution. Culture is important. You need to understand it. Otherwise, you'll make all kinds of mistakes. What worked in Netherlands would not work in Turkey.
And you're doing this as part of an enormous operator as Vodafone.
Yes.
Do you think that brings you opportunities, or is it more difficult than perhaps if you're in a standalone country-based organisation?
I very much appreciate the support that I get from our global operation. First of all, the very fact that I'm in Turkey is a clear representation of leveraging experience and if you like, the resource availability, and making it available immediately where it's needed. I think that's something that a global company leverages, of course, naturally. The second thing is frankly, the financial support, the ability to make the turnaround rather than worry about the immediate effect on your bottom line. It's an investment, and Vodafone is a great investment company, which allows a company to turn around local operators. If you were standing alone, you'd be at the mercy of the banks. And frankly, under the current situation with financial crisis, I don't think that would be what you would want. It's great to have a nice, rich parent.
Okay, now your own background brings a lot of value to what you've been able to achieve now inside Vodafone. You've done 3 turnarounds, 4 startups. Can you tell me a little bit about this?
Sure. I'm Iranian person who was brought up in Britain, and maybe because of the fact that I wasn't always born and brought up in one country, I had a very eclectic career, working in financial services, working in fashion retail, working in property and conglomerate, and owning my own retail shops at one period. That kind of experience makes me more interested in the commercial sense of things, and hopefully helps me really understand what the leaders and the business managers are really looking for from my role, from HR, from what we're trying to do. I always think, if this was in my own business, would I do this? Is this going to bring in the right returns for the investment going forward? I guess that's what I hope is the change that HR is making, becoming much more relevant to the business.
And in terms of the future, in terms of your challenges going forward, what do you see as your key objectives and challenges?
I see myself as a very lucky man, because what I do is a growth area. I don't see the need for companies to change and adapt and transform themselves going down. I see the need for that and the complexity of that increasing. I see more and more industries that were seen as very stable, or companies that were seen very stable, needing change, needing transformation. And since my work and my hobby are the same, it's fantastic news for me. I never intend to retire. I might be in a corporate role right now. They may use me as a consultant in the future, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's fantastic to be part of something that is a legacy. I mean, I think back now to Netherlands, and I will, to the end of my days, be proud of what we achieved there and what we did in that company. You can't buy that kind of experience. It's wonderful.
Okay, well, it's a brilliant summary. Thanks very much for the time.
No problem, my pleasure.